Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. First and foremost, just want to say a big thank you to all the friends of the channel, everybody who's watching the videos and enjoying the content. You know, it's greatly appreciated. This one's just going to be another update on the AMT generic box art build. We're doing the 1963 hardtop box art, and I didn't think I'd get very far this week, to be quite honest with you. I've had a lot on as usual, but with it being bank holiday, I did have a few hours on Monday, and you know, I had a couple of hours today as well. I really needed to get this into paint because I need to let it dry for a couple of days before I start boiling it, and then I can clear coat it and flat and polish it and what have you. But yeah, I mean, first of all, obviously you can see it's in colour, but for years, I mean, I've had this project in mind for years. I always had it in my mind I was just going to do it a straight red. You know, I bought some red years ago when I first was going to tackle it, and then realised it was a little bit more difficult than I thought it would be once I started looking at the box art. But yeah, I just always thought this was a solid red, and obviously I've been looking at this for a while now. This box art, just to get the design cues I wanted to add into the build and what have you. And you know, the more you look at it, the more you can see it's definitely some kind of candy. And I mean, it's, again, with all these things, it really is up to your own personal interpretation of it. You know, if you see it as a solid red card, and so be it. But you know, for me, with the shadows and everything, it definitely looks like it's some kind of metallic or pearl or candy or something like that. So I started having a look online. Obviously went to Alfred's, absolutely nothing there. You know, remotely interesting for a colour. There wasn't anything really light enough. So you know, I went online, and you know, I put in like a candy red or something like that, and there was a seller selling. I mean, it's not got a colour on the top, but you know, pre-mix. You know, it's obviously from a paint supplier, automotive paint supplier. When I was looking at the pictures, yeah, it kind of didn't look like a candy apple red and what have you. So I kind of knew it would be like a standard vehicle colour, and maybe with a little bit of extra gold or silver put in the mix. And so I thought, well, I'll do a spray out. I mean, I just used really cheap clear coat on this. I didn't want to waste any good stuff. But yeah, when I did a silver clear coat on it, I mean base coat, and then I put a few coats of that colour on it, it was just too dark. I mean, probably won't tell, but it's a much darker shade. And to be quite honest, it's really just for Jupiter red, I would say, or very close to that. It has the same sort of qualities and what have you. But yeah, so I really didn't like it. It was too dark for the car on the box art, I thought. So I thought what I'd do is I'll move that out of the way, because I've noticed that, you know, its background stuff is really interrupting with the focus. And you know, I'll watch this video, and if it doesn't help, then obviously it's just my phone. But yeah, so what I ended up doing was I ended up basing it up in the Audi colour I bought years ago. And yeah, Audi Laser Red, and it's a really bright red. It's been around since the late 80s, I think, and yeah, used on a lot of like Audi A4s in the 90s and what have you. But it's a really sort of bright orangey red. And so, well, I thought I'll base it up in this anyway, and then I can put my mind to rest whether I like it in the solid red or not. And I really didn't at all, to be quite honest with you. It was just, made it look like a fire chief car, and you know, I just didn't want that look. It is a custom, so yeah, I based it up with this stuff, and it's not my favourite kind of paint. I'm not a massive fan of that high coat stuff. Goes on a little bit too thick, and yeah, I did just sort of do a few light coats just till it was covered, and then all I did was I just went over and gave it two drop coats, like really. I mean, I think this is like a sort of the old solvent based type of paint. So it ain't going to react with any of this synthetic sort of paint you get pre-mixed and what have you from paint stores. But you know, that's all it needed. Just a couple of drop coats. This is obviously just base coat. You know, it hasn't been clear coated or anything. We've still got all the foil to do, but yeah, that's definitely got me the colour. I wanted a sort of a lightish red, but something a little bit custom. So yeah, it might not be 100% at box, but like I say, you know, that it's a picture, and we're just working off what we can. Just gone straight out of focus there. So, but yeah, I mean, since the last video, you know, we've done a lot of tidying up. You know, I wasn't going to put any paint on this until I was 100% happy with the bodywork, and there wasn't too much, just little bits and pieces, and you know, just tidying up around the edges, and so yeah, I think I'm really happy with the bodywork now. I rescribed that boot lid in the last video. It was just roughed out. I mean, it was I think I was cutting through too much super glue, so I just ended up putting a full skimmer filler across it again, and just doing a fresh line. So we got a nice tight line on that trunk lid now. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, if I just painted over it how it was before, I wouldn't have been happy with it. It would have been like a big wart on the car, and you know, it would have annoyed me every time I saw it. But yeah, we got that looking pretty nice. I'm looking forward to getting some chrome foil on it. But I think the colour, once the clear coats on it, I think the colour's going to really come out on this one. But I also, when I had it on that mock-up chassis, which was from another builder, you know, I wasn't happy with the ride height. It was sitting far too low in the weeds, and you know, I've got the ride height as it should be now, or as I think it should be anyway. You know, it's not sitting. The car's not sitting in the weeds on the box art. It's not standard height, but it's certainly not dropped to the ground. So yeah, I'm much happier with the ride height now. We've got that sorted. But obviously I didn't want to use that Galaxy chassis because I'm taking it away from that one I built years ago, and you know, that needs staying with that kit. And I really wanted this as a screw bottom, and I thought I had an original screw bottom chassis, and I was looking everywhere for it, and luckily I just remembered where it was, because this is I wanted it to be a screw bottom because they all were back in the 60s, in the early 60s, you know. So luckily I did have one. It came in a big lot of parts, and I've had it in a box for years. But that was perfect for this build. So I did, obviously in the last video I explained that because with the shape of the rear quarter panels, we put in, you know, we had to, you know, the chassis, with it being completely straight, was sticking below the quarter panel, or you could see the exhaust below the quarter panel, and really didn't like it. So I did start putting a notch in there, but I knew with the amount of framework and all this stuff moulded in, it wasn't going to really bend up properly. So I just wanted to put a score line in, and then I just used not a lighter, because you know, you just burn your fingers if you're using lighters for stuff like that. So I got one of them like candle lighters, which are a bit safer to use, and you aren't risking burning the ends of your fingers off, like. So we just gently heated it on there. I didn't want to distort anything, so just heated it up until, you know, I could feel a bit of flex, and then I just really forced it up. And we hadn't lost any shape in the rear axles or anything. You know, everything's kept where it should do, and it's just resolved that issue. On the original kit, they had screw bottoms into the bottom of the core support. Obviously, we're not put a core support in that. Plus, it's a Lincoln, so. And I thought if I glued the core support to the chassis, to the body, then I'm just going to tear it off when I'm putting the screws in. So I thought I'd super glue it straight to the chassis, and then we'll put some screws in there just to mimic to mimic a screw base, and then we'll glue it on top of fenders. You know, there's plenty real estate under them fenders to drop a little bit of super glue there to hold it in. But yeah, so I mean, we just give it I've just started. I haven't put any detail paint on it. I'll probably paint the frame rails gloss black. I don't want anything Larry underneath. I want it as dark as possible. So yeah, we'll probably paint the frame rails and the axles black, and we'll do the exhaust in just pick that out in a aluminium or something like that. But yeah, the base of it, I was going to leave it all completely unpainted for this video, but I had the spray booth on and spray booth out, and I really wanted to get a bit of a head start, so I can, the next time I get some time, I can just jump on it. But the other thing I said in the last video is that we're just going to, once the bodywork's done, we're just going to use the Galaxy interior, and I just thought, for the amount of work we put into this body so far, I just thought it was a bit of a cop-out, to be quite honest. It would have just been like throwing the kit together, no thought into anything else past the body. So I did think I'd make a bit of an effort. I mean, I took it a little bit further than I first was going to. I mean, I really like the Lincoln interior, to be fair, and again, looking at the top of the box, you can see it hasn't got a bench seat in it or as such, but it might have a split bench seat, but they're quite wide tops on the top of the seats. And I was going to put a square sort of Chrysler looking steering wheel in there, but you can see it's round, so I'm going to use the Galaxy steering wheel. That's the only Galaxy part I'm going to use for the interior. But yeah, so I thought, well, I'll use the interior stuff from the Lincoln, and I tried my hardest. I did try my hardest to make it fit unmodified onto the Galaxy chassis. As you can see here, I was filing and all angles, and it just wouldn't go in. So I ended up completely cutting the interior tub in half. I took the same amount out, about as the same as we took out the front fenders. So yeah, we cut it in half. We glued it back together, and that made it fit inside the Galaxy wheelbase absolutely spot on. But then I thought I might have to. I was going to section it. I was so close to sectioning it because this interior tub's really, really high for the Lincoln. And when I had it on there, it was making the body sit too high and what have you. I mean, so like I say, I was so close to sectioning it, but I ended up just filing down as much as I could off the chassis plate. I mean, there's quite a lot taken off there. I think I only needed about 2 or 3 mil off it, and so I altogether to drop the chassis and the interior together for the right height and what have you. But yeah, so we took a lot off there, and And then there's quite a lot of material on the bottom of the Lincoln interior, and you can see I've literally sanded it down until it's almost breaking through. I mean, there's not much material left in that carpet area, but we probably got another 1.5 mil off that, and another 1.5 mil off that, and that resolved the problem, so I didn't have to get involved in sectioning it. But yeah, I mean, I didn't want it completely I wanted it looking custom, but not overly custom. I wanted it to look like that car was built with this interior and with a few little touches and what have you. So I did want a centre console, so I cut a couple of these up. I couldn't just use one because there wasn't enough material on one. I think this is from the AMT 49 Merc, if I'm correct, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so I wanted because it's got kind of a pleated interior as the Lincoln. It's quite a nice interior, and it's got the pleated door panels. I thought that was a good console to use. And then on the front, I shaped it round the front seat and what have you. It's the same. It's the same part and what have you, or the same part but a different part, if you know what I mean. But we got all that glued in, so that can just drop in there now, and it looks like we got a good console running all the way through. We'll probably put some push button automatic, like an automatic push button system on the console or something. But yeah, because I mean, as people who know me, again, I'm a massive fan of the old E38 7 Series. I've had, I think, 14 of them in my past, most of them individual models, and they all had the TVs, or either TVs or the picnic tables and the mirrors in the headrests and what have you. So I thought I'd add a couple of the AMT 63 Galaxy TV screens in there. Like I say, it's all gonna be one colour. We're gonna paint it in a flat red. I'll be using craft paint for it, but it's not gonna be two-tone or anything. It's all gonna be one straight colour. And so the tops of the TV screens will be the same colour and what have you, and we'll just pick out trim detail with silver, and then it's got AMT on the screen, so we'll probably paint the screens a gloss red and try and pick out the AMT in white. I did want to do an AMT badge for it, but I just couldn't find a decal small enough to make as an emblem. And to be quite honest, when I was looking at the body, I couldn't really think of where to put it without it ruining the shape of the car. So there's no emblems elsewhere on the car at all. But yeah, so we got them. So I mean, I wouldn't say we're far off on the interior. I've got the base work down there, and it's just needs a little bit extra. But so yeah, I mean, it's the stock 65 Continental dash as well. But I did want to pull a bit of that pleated look onto the dash as well. And in the parcel shelf, we had to make a parcel shelf because the back of the Continental is just a completely straight edge with no parcel shelf. They're obviously using as much real estate for passengers in that car. So all I did with that, and me, I ain't got a massive stock of sheet plastic or pattern plastic or anything. So I think I hit a new low with the putting them seat backs on that Pan Am van base. I just used the back of a back of a notepad for that instead of cheap plastic, because I didn't really have enough. But so all I use for this is I just use white tack. I use white tack, rolled it as thinly as I could on there, and then because I've got another one of these, I just use this as a sort of template or press for me pattern on there. Got a bit of fluff on there, and I just thought I'd just continue. It makes it look a little bit custom, but not over the top. And you know, we'd done that on the. It is pretty hard to pick up, to be fair, but I didn't want it standing out too much, anyways. But yeah, that was just to continue the pleated look from the console and the seats and what have you. And yeah, we've just brought that onto the dash. So, you know, I don't think we're that far off. I mean, we got a lot of work still. We got the body to foil, then clear coat, flat and polish. All the other detail. I mean, we haven't done anything with the engine yet. It's I'm probably going to use the Lincoln engine, to be quite honest with you. The Ford, yeah, it's a Ford engine nonetheless. But I've got an idea for the air cleaner and what have you. We'll do a subtle custom air cleaner on it. But like I say, we got the Lincoln interior fitting probably better than the Galaxy interior now. It did take a lot of work, like I said, but yeah, we're starting to see the end of the light at the end of the tunnel. I think I'd like this finishing off by this time next week at the very, very latest. I'm not promising anything for the weekend because, you know, I don't know how much time I'll have to myself, and I'm not going to set my own deadline that close to where we are now, Wednesday. So, but I'll certainly get it foiled in the next couple of days, and then I'll start finishing up all the paint, all the detail paint work. But yeah, it's looking pretty nice. Is that? I think the one thing I was gonna show you, it's more for Adam from Sodak Model Cars. You know, he's looking for some of these bits and pieces. So I just thought I'd show you the grille which is going to go in it. I mean, I hadn't taken it off the chrome tree or anything because I was going to take it off the test fitting, but to be quite honest, I was so far on with the bodywork. If the grille doesn't fit, it'll be the grille that's getting altered. Nothing's going to get changed on the body now. It's obviously all in paint, and even in primer stages, I was past wanting to messing about with it anymore. So, like I say, we'll if anything needs altering, it'll be the grille. But I just thought I'd show, if you are looking for these bits, the front end bits from the 63 Mercury, like Adam there, I just thought, you know, I'd show you the actual parts you can look for to go with the front end, if you are at a swap meet or anything. So you got I think it, like I say, it resembles the 60 Pontiac grille, and they are quite deep headlamp buckets in there to fit it. But you know, I suppose unless you're lucky enough to find a tree from a 63 Mercury, you know, you're just probably gonna have to use your own bits if you can only find the front end. But you know, we might use some of them display stand bits, but I don't think there's really much anything else on the other chrome tree that needs it's really related to these specific parts. You know, like I say, it's a very nice kit and it's got a lot of options. But yeah, it's I think we have reshaped the front grille quite a bit, or the front end, the custom front end, because it's quite bulky. around the side, so we had to take quite a lot off the sides to shape it to the body and what have you. But you know, this grill will go onto the 64 Mercury, and to be quite honest, if you don't want to go to this amount of trouble, you know, I've probably made a lot of work for myself. The next go-to thing would be the 64 Mercury. Obviously this is the 63, but the 64 is pretty much identical, except from the front end sheet metal. But you know, it's got a nice line down here. You know, you won't have to mess about with the trunk lid or anything. You know, you got your doors pretty much where you want them to be. You got your wheel arches where you want them to be. I think the reason why I didn't go for the Mercury in the first place is one thing even though I slightly prefer the 63 to the 64, it's very, very close. The 64 is an absolutely stunning looking car, and you know, I've got a few in my collection, like, you know, but I really didn't want to get into chopping one of them up. And I think where I saw my problems starting with the body would be, you know, the quarter panels. You know, not like I've caused myself a load of problems with that, but you know, it's yeah, it just didn't. There were certain things on the Mercury that I still think I went down the right route to build the type of model I'm building. But I would certainly use the 64 Mercury. The 63 Galaxy I wouldn't use at all. It's you know, the shape of the rear quarter panels and what have you are too far off. But you got a good line on here to start with, and then you'll just have to kick it up somehow. And I think, again, if I built it from the Mercury, I probably wouldn't have done as much as I would have done. And I think the problem is that, you know, it's okay up to here, but then you've got to make it into a really flat fender and sort of make a rolled body line flow into a really flat fender on the rear quarter panel. But so yeah, anyway, yeah, these are the other, you know, and I suppose, you know, I think this is a rear end, one of the rear ends. You get a couple in the 63 to use, and I think, you know, you probably get away with sticking this on the, if you find one of them, you probably get away with sticking that on the back and sort of reshaping that to, you know, the shape's not quite as I would have wanted it anyway. And yeah, but like I say, if you're looking for bits, you know, that's front end, that's the rear, sorry, that's the rear end, that's front end, and yeah, that's really the grille you want to be looking for, that one there. Or you just use if you find another 60 Pontiac grill somewhere, you know, Trumpeter did them kits and what have you. So there'll be plenty of bits out there for you to hopefully find at swap meets, and you know, not many people are interested in them bits. You know, it's only the likes of us, who are that fussed about things like that, you know. But yeah, I think what we'll do is, I mean, at the weekend, you won't get an update on this now until the final video, for sure. You know, it'll be the usual pre-assembly, and then go straight into the build, you know, the final build. So that'll all be in one video. But yeah, I thought we'd done enough, and I didn't want to go too far without showing you what I'd done on this one, because like I say, I thought I was just doing myself an injustice by just slamming it together with just the rest of the Galaxy bits. I did want it to look like a one-off model, and I think, you know, putting that luxury Lincoln interior there in a shorter wheelbase car really helps, to be quite honest. And yeah, I could have cut the back seat out and then cut it into the Galaxy interior, but that would be more work than chopping a section out, to be quite honest. I mean, yeah, that's how much we took out, about 4 or 5 mils, sorry, and just did it straight down the lines between where the posts were. But yeah, I think we're really getting there now. I think everything's come together. The one last thing I've got to show you, and the thing that have probably taken me the longest, even though we're at half an hour already, and I've just banged on for half an hour. I haven't even really done much, but yeah, I've played around with bumpers. I've tried altering started off messing about with a Studebaker Avanti bumper. The AMT 62 Chevy bumper fit round here really well, but I had to cut half of it off, and the problem is with those is that you're making the material too weak as you're cutting it, and when you're trying to shape, because none of the sides are the right shape, and when you're trying to shape it all around it, they just ended up snapping, and I didn't want to, and that would also mean me having to put a centre section in. The whole bumper would have been weak, and I wouldn't have got the shape I wanted. So ended up, like I say, using my contour gauge and getting a rough shape using the contour gauge, just pressed it against the rear end. And this bumper, that took me about 2 hours. 2 hours to finally shape and get it snug. I mean, I can't fit it to the body now, unfortunately. It's obviously I've literally just based this up in the last couple of hours. I don't want to be, and I don't really. I wanted to get this in chrome just so it has a good few days to dry off and what have you. But that wraps around. That wraps around there absolutely spot on. And I wouldn't have put a rear bumper on it, I'll be honest with you, but it's on the box art, and I needed to do as much as I could to make it look like the box art without leaving anything off or doing workarounds which wouldn't have worked as well. But yeah, so that probably took me the longest out of all the modifications, was that rear bumper, making that from scratch. But I just used sheet styrene and just carefully shaped it. Like I say, just cutting it was a pain in the backside, but it's another bit done, another bit closer to the finish lines, and I don't think we've got anything else like that now. I think all the hard modifications being done. Working on that interior probably put me back a day or so, a couple of days maybe, because I really wanted to add something in one-off. But yeah, I think we're getting there, and hopefully you agree that that's not coming on too bad at all now. But like I say, I'm looking forward to getting it finished. I've already got an idea for the next project, and I don't think I'm being kind to myself, to be quite honest with you. It's another one where we're going to modify the body. It's not a 4-door conversion. It's something probably what you wouldn't be expecting. And I don't know whether to go into that one straight away. I might do another project, and I might just drag a kit box off the shelf and build a kit straight from the box, just to give me a bit of recovery time from this thing, because it's been it's like I say, it's probably been the hardest I've ordered. It's conversion, well, saying all the conversions, I haven't done too many, but out of all the projects I've done, I'd 100% say this has been the most testing to get looking right. And I don't think we're that far off now. So, and I've said that a million times, and we're probably 5 minutes since I said that, and I was about to close the video off. So yeah, with that, whatever you're doing, enjoy the rest of your evening. I'll hopefully get across and then get this uploaded tonight. I mean, we're probably on 6:30, 7 o'clock already, so it'll be a late one, but I do want to try and keep with the Wednesday and Sunday videos. I know people are doing a lot more than that. But you know, if I can try and keep to 2 videos a week and keep you guys interested and what have you, then I think, I think that's all I can really do, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, like I say, whatever you're doing this evening, hope you have a great evening, and we will see you in the next video. See you, bye.